Hey you guys, what's up? In today's video, I'm going to be trying out the brand new Milani Gilded Getaway eyeshadow palette. This palette is a part of their Gone Glamping collection, and in today's video, I'm going to be trying out all of the shades in this palette. I'm going to be creating these two eye looks with every single shade that comes in this palette. I'm also going to be doing swatches of all of the shades for you guys, so I hope you guys are all excited about today's video. If you are, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, let's go ahead and do some swatches of all of the shades in this palette. So this is the Milani Gilded Getaway eyeshadow palette. How freaking cute is the packaging? And then when you open it up, here are the shades. So this palette has 12 shades. 6 of them are mattes and 6 are shimmers. So let's go ahead and start swatching. I'm going to start in the top row. First up, we have the shade Kindle, Campfire. Ooh, that did not swatch the best. Let's go ahead and add a second layer. Happy Glamper. That one also did not swatch that great. Like, this one swatched really nicely. It felt very smooth. This one felt a little bit more dry. Vacay Goals. This one did feel a little bit creamier. Yeah, that is a beautiful shade. Oasis. These mattes do feel very sheer just based on the swatches. And the last shade in the top row is called Some More Fun. Gonna add another layer on that as well. Hopefully these go on the eyes better than they swatch, but honestly I'm not too worried about the swatches. Moving down to the second row. First we have the shade Chillax. That one might barely show up. A-Frame. Good Vibes Only. That one swatched really nicely. Succulent. Tremendous. Ooh, that one's a little sheer and patchy. Let's add some more. And the last shade is called Under the Stars. That one is also pretty sheer. So here are all of these swatches. Obviously, like, all of these shades kind of go together, and then all of these shades. I really love the color story with like the reds and then the greens and browns. So now that you guys have seen all of these shades swatch, let's go ahead and move on to the tutorial part of this video where I'm going to create these two eye looks. So of course, the first thing I'm going to do is prime my lids with my P. Louise base. So I am going to be creating two different eye looks with the palette. So I want to do like one look with the browns and greens and then one look with like the reds and golds. So first I'm going to pick up the shade called Campfire. So I lightly dipped into that shade on a fluffy brush and I'm just going to kind of start packing this. Not necessarily packing, but I want to kind of lightly blend this out from the crease. This is going to kind of be like the transition shade, so I'm gonna have to kind of like shear it out a little bit with a lot of blending since there isn't like a super light shade in the top row. So I'm gonna kind of pack it towards the crease and then blend outwards. I'm also gonna blend that along the lower lash line, kind of connecting it over here at the outer corner. Now on a clean brush, I'm just going to kind of blend along the edges and diffuse that shade again. Next, I'm going to pick up the shade called Oasis, and I'm going to start by kind of tapping in my crease again. And then I'm going to blend this shade like a little bit lower into the crease. I don't want to go too high. These honestly have really nice pigmentation on the eyes. I'm not having any trouble blending so far. They're definitely going on the eyes much better than they swatched. Also gonna put this along the lower lash line. Now I'm gonna take the shade Some More Fun. And I just picked up that shade on like a little blending brush. And I'm just gonna kind of like start blending this on the outer corner to deepen it up even more, and then I'm going to tightly blend this in the crease. And for the lower lash line, I'm going to kind of just pat this right up against the lash line just to deepen it up. So I went ahead and cut my crease off camera. Now we're going to add some shades to the lid. I think I'm going to first take the shade right here called Vacate Goals. And I'm just going to kind of start blending this outwards from the inner corner. So I actually really like the formula of these shimmer shades. I love when I can apply like metallic shades with a brush. It makes it so much easier to be like very precise. And these are going on really nicely with a brush, which means they probably go on even more metallic with your finger. Yeah, for sure. Now I'm going to take this kind of like red shimmery shade right here called Kindle. And I'm going to apply this to the rest of the lid. And I'm going to kind of like connect it over here to this outer corner, and then we're going to kind of blend everything together. That way there are no harsh lines. This one is also very creamy and applies really nicely with a brush. And the last shade I'm going to use is this one right here called Happy Glamper. And with this shade, I'm going to pop it. Oh my goodness, that is very pigmented. I feel like it did not swatch that pigmented. I'm going to pop it right here in the inner corner. I'm going to have to blend this out. I did not expect it to be so pigmented. So here is eye look number 1 complete. I am like pleasantly surprised with how it turned out. Whenever I first saw this palette, like when it came in the mail, I wasn't sure how I felt about it just like looking at it. But after using all of the red shades, I really like how the shadows performed. Like the mattes went on very pigmented and the metallics are like super bright metallics. So I am really happy with how eye look number 1 turned out. So now we're going to move down into the bottom part of the palette and try out the browns and greens. So I'm first going to pick up the shade right here called Chillax. You know, this shade might not even show up as anything, but I do want to use all of the shades in the entire palette, which I used all 6 shades for this eye look from the top row. So we're going to try and do the same thing on the bottom. This is just like a cream shade, so it's not really like doing much of anything on my skin tone. It just kind of blends in. If anything, it kind of just darkened up this crease area just like a tiny bit. So now I'm going to take the shade right here called A-Frame, and I'm just going to start by pressing this in the crease, and then I'm going to blend it outwards. So now I'm going to take that same shade on a smaller brush, and I'm just going to start by kind of like tapping this in the crease. So with a bigger brush, it kind of blended out to a lighter brown. Now I'm going to try and build this up a little bit closer to the crease area. I'm also going to blend it along the lower lash line. Now I'm going to take the shade called Tremendous. Now this is a pretty like deep shade, and we don't really have a medium shade to blend these two together. So I'm just going to take some on a little blending brush, and I'm going to really tap it off. And then we're just going to start slowly building this up, because I don't want it to be like super dark just like straight away. We kind of need to blend it out like here in the crease where there is a little bit of that shade, but it's a little bit more sheer before we really add it on. I'm just going to keep adding to the outer corner and then slowly building this shade up along the crease. So I think this is a really pretty shade, but I am noticing that it is pretty patchy when trying to kind of build it up and then blend it out, but I don't think it's too bad. So once again, I went ahead and cut my crease off camera. Now we're going to move on to some metallic shades for the lid. First, I'm going to take the shade right here called Good Vibes Only, and I'm just going to start by putting this all in the inner corner area. I hope this shade is not like too dark for this. Now I'm going to take the shade called Succulent. Wow, that's pretty dark. And the last shade in the palette that I have not used is this one right here called Under the Stars, which seems to be almost like a matte with glitter in it. And I'm going to use this shade to try and do something with this outer corner, because I feel like it's looking very patchy, and ooh, yeah, I don't know how I'm feeling about this green eye so far. Alright, so I went ahead and finished this eye off camera. I added some mascara. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of this green eye right now. I feel like it looks very patchy and it's just not looking how I would prefer it to look. I did do a lot of blending and I feel like no matter how much I was blending this kind of like dark green shade, it just still looks patchy. And yeah, it's not my favorite. I don't like hate it, but I don't really like it very much. I like the green on the lower lash line. I think it looks really pretty down there, but over here in the outer corner and crease area, I feel like it didn't blend the best. I think if there was like a medium matte shade in this bottom row, then this shade and this green would do much better blending together. I feel like this kind of cream shade was not really necessary. They should have put like a medium brown or even a medium green in here, not a dark green only, and then the light brown. I think it is definitely missing a matte shade on the bottom row. I really like the entire top row. I think it looks beautiful. Another thing I feel like this palette is missing is a light shimmery shade. I really wish there was a little bit lighter of at least one shimmery shade, but the rest are stunning. I really like the palette a lot. I really just had trouble on the green eye blending just because these shades are so different in like how dark they are. Like there's a very light shade and a very dark shade that can be hard to blend together if you don't have a medium shade to blend in between. But yeah, I was actually a lot more impressed with this palette than I thought I was gonna be. When I first got this in the mail, I'm not gonna lie, I looked at it and I thought it looked kind of cheap and I didn't think the shades were gonna perform very well, but honestly, they actually did perform really nicely on the eyes, so I am pretty impressed. I think it is a really pretty color story. The color story does kind of remind me of the ColourPop and Raw Beauty Christie palette, so if you guys weren't able to get your hands on that palette, you might really like this one. So let me know what you guys think about this palette in the comments down below. Are you guys going to pick it up? Do you guys like the color story? I really want to hear what you guys think about this palette. So yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Also, make sure you guys have your notifications turned on. That way you don't miss out on any of my future videos. All you have to do is click the bell next to the subscribe button and then you'll receive a notification every time I upload a new video. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.